So little test review kind of thing. Hopefully you're starting to get there on things. This one's for balancing and basic types, that kinds of things, right? So the 4 things we could do with a reaction like this would be type. What type of reaction is that? That is a Y there. Wow, my handwriting is terrible. So type, balance it. What are your reactants? What are your products? That kind of thing, right? So good idea. Go ahead and pause this. I'll step out of the way so while it's paused, you can see it, and then go ahead and balance it and stuff. Don't try and balance them in your head. You're going to make too many silly mistakes when you balance them in your head. So write it down, take a second and write it down, and then balance it that way. So as I look at the type, this is going to be double displacement, right? Because you can see we are trading partners, right? We have compound, and now we have a new copper compound. We have a silver compound, and now we have a new silver compound, right? So they are trading partners. As they do that, when we go to balance it, I'm going to leave the polyatomic ions together because they don't change. Bromate stays bromate, nitrate stays nitrate, right? It's just how many of those things changed. So here I've got 2 bromates, so I'm going to put a 2 in front of silver bromate. That gives me 2 bromates, which is 2 bromines, 6 oxygens, 6 oxygens, right? Keeping our oxygens separate. That also gives me 2 silvers, so I slap a 2 in front of silver nitrate. The coefficient of 2 here, so 2 silvers, that gives me 2 nitrates. Hey, look at that, 2 nitrates. Or 2 nitrogens, 6 oxygens, 2 nitrogens, 6 oxygens, right? You don't have to do it that way. You can break them down by individual atom, but I think that simplifies it a little bit. Then the last thing we said was, well, what's your reactants and products? Well, this would be your reactants. That's what you put into the reaction. You would have to go get copper bromate and silver nitrate. You would react those things to make copper nitrate and silver bromate, right? They trade partners on those. Let's try one more of those kinds of. So looking at this one, we haven't done a lot of predicting with combustion, but they're pretty easy, right? So I've got a hydrocarbon here. This would be like isopropyl alcohol. That's like rubbing alcohol that you put on things. Anytime we have organic things, carbon hydrogen-y things with OHs on them, those are alcohols, right? So this is burning of something like isopropyl alcohol. And we know anytime we burn a hydrocarbon, we're going to end up with the products, CO2, and H2O, assuming there's enough oxygen around. In the real world, right, if there's not enough oxygen, you end up making some like free carbon or some carbon monoxide and that kind of stuff. So that's why you have to be careful with combustion-y things. So you should pause it and balance it and make sure you can balance it, right? As I go to balance it, I've got 3 carbons. I'm going to leave the oxygen for now because the oxygens I know are going to be confusing everywhere. Have got 8 hydrogens. So I put a 4 here, and that gives me 8 hydrogens. I'm going to do the oxygens in a different color because those are a little tougher. I'm not going to worry about over here because I know I've got to fix it, right? So I'm going to worry about right here. I have 6 oxygens from here and 4 more from over here, right? So I need 10 oxygens. Well, that's easy. Just put a 5 here. Oh, we've already got 1 here. So if I put a 5 here, that gives me 10, 11 oxygens. That's no good. Well, this is an odd kind of thing over here, right? So this is never going to change that. I'm going to have to put a 2 here. Anytime you end up with an even odd thing, start thinking about, well, I'm probably going to have to double something or take the 1 to a 2 to make it to an even situation. Because when I do that, now that means I just doubled everybody, so I'm going to have to double these 2. So that's going to go to a 6, and this is going to go to an 8. So my 6 times 2 is now 12, and my 8 times 2 is now 16. You're like, well, that didn't help us any, because now I just went, whoa. I had said 4 before, and I meant 8 before, but in any event, we were still an even odd thing. I apologize for misstating on that, right? Because we have 16 hydrogens. Oh yeah, 8, 2 times 0, or 2 times 1, so we have 8. I just started looking at the wrong thing there, right? So we have 20 hydrogens here, or 20 oxygens. I have 12 oxygens and 12 more oxygens. I have 16 hydrogens, 2 times 6, or 2 times 8 for 16 hydrogens, 6 oxygens, 6 oxygens. So I just need to fix my 6 carbons. I'm trying to balance too fast here. So now my 20 over here, well, I've got 2 from right here. So that means I need 18 more. So I put a 9 right here. Right? So what I did when I ended up with a weird even odd thing, when we doubled this thing, that got us to an even number there, so we could subtract that off of the total we needed. So now I have 2 oxygens from here and 18 more from here for a total of 20 oxygens. I have 6 times 2 for 12, 8 times 1 for 8. And we've got 8 oxygens there. One like that is more challenging, but we can see, a few that are harder, right? We'll see a few that are easier, but we'll see a few that are harder too. So we should be able to do those tougher ones as well. So that's kind of the balancing and type stuff. There are plenty of websites if you want to practice more balancing.